Glad to see you guys. And last year, standing here, I didn't know what I didn't know about our team. And the most important thing that I know now, that's the definition of a commander. And that makes this week even more purposeful in a lot of ways, because now that Adam and I aren't just picturing it, we've actually seen it. And that's a really big deal. So starting this process last year, we had a hell of a draft class, and we're looking forward to following up on that for this year, especially now that we know who we are even more clearly. It makes this process even stronger. Our rookies played real time and had significant roles for us last season. We counted on them as teammates, not as rookies, and that started from the day they walked in the door, and we're really counted on them in that way. So a lot of cool things to think back over 1 year's time, and can't wait to get rocking with you guys today, so let's get it ripping.
Every hit on Jacoby or Drake during the season, I felt responsible for that. It's just ultimately we didn't get enough done up front. The game is always one on the lines, offensive line, defensive line.
The creativity part, I think that's what I see most in this group. Here's the big ends that can move down. Here's outside guys that can go inside. Those, to me, are things when you want a league of matchups and who can you work on and who can you go against, that adds a lot of value.
Coach, going against Kellen Moore's offense twice last season, how did he stress the defense, and what things did he try to do against the defense to combat?
Yeah, it's an advantageous position.
Yeah, I've gone against Kellen a lot, every day in practice for a couple of years. So I would say I have a good sense of what Kellen is. He's a fantastic play caller. I think that's at the core of being on an offense and doing it in different ways. That's what makes an excellent coach. And so what Kellen's offense looked like this year was different than in LA, and also different in Dallas. And I think that's the mark of an excellent coach, to find the things that feature the players the best. And I think over the last 3 years, Kel has really demonstrated that, from Dallas through LA and then to Philly. So deserving for him. Go ahead, Ben.
Certainly, we feel like we're attracting a destination this year, and we're excited to fill the roster.
I thought the first thing I thought of, I was pleased to see treatment of families, and that goes to Josh, honestly, and Adam. There's no gap in between what he says and what he does, and so to have that type of reflection in a year is really big. We told him how important this was to us. He heard that from the players and then took action on that. I think that's honestly what that relationship has been for us. What do you need to win, and how do we go about and do that? And so to see things like family support and having that increase, that's really big. Families, our families, players, coaches, the organization, they make a lot of sacrifices for us to do what we can do. And so to have that right there, team travel, all those, to me, just reflect back to Josh and the vision of what it can be. And I couldn't be more proud to be a part of it.
Having that guy in place is paramount to our success. We're really excited about it.
It's probably bigger than this specific thing, but what at the very front of the line, man, are we looking for the competitive spirit in a player, and guys who just absolutely love ball. They're willing to show that connection to their teammates, and some of that shows up in meetings like it does here, about leadership, about tell me some examples. The tape and that part of the evaluation, that's clear, but we also want to go full circle and make sure it's so important the people that we bring in to this crew are going to be part of an outstanding group, and we want to make sure every single thought we can do to add to that, we will. And so that's much clearer to be able to see that on full display going into this year.
Yeah, I think every case can be different. Certainly the information that we can get, now, instead of getting one information from
I'll say, looking at the whole survey overall, we all of us, want to chase improvement, and that's this year, that's next year, that's the year after. And so I love this crew that we get to work with, but it's an organization. We do all the things, so many things together, and that's why I wanted to, kind of give a shout out to Josh and the vision of what it can be here. And we're going to work really hard to make that vision come to life.
Mike said it yesterday. Mike wouldn't have taken this job. And this is something we talked about in the interview process. Mike wouldn't have taken this job if we weren't comfortable with each other. There's not going to be Mike's guys, Elliot's guys, Patriot guys. We're excited to share the vision, to work together, to improve the roster.
I think oftentimes when people think of me, that's culture, and I want to make sure like culture and environment are so much different. Environment is an upbeat, and I see the world in that way as from a positive outlook. But culture is how we get down every day, and that's the identity of our team, our behaviors, our habits. And so I wanted to make sure that type of identity and team, you could do that, but it would have to be through the team. Because you put something on the wall doesn't mean that's who you are. It's how you live and how you get down all the time. And so the play style, the identity, those were things that I thought that had to be at the top of the pile about what we would want to build. As far as me specifically, I just wanted to make sure I could get all my focus on the team. And, fortunately, having, Adam shoulder to shoulder with me allows me to fully express myself with these guys. So I'm certainly fortunate to have him as a partner as well. Yep.
Where do you lie when it comes to technology and expanding that replay?
Yes. Yeah, so close. Usually you're really in favor of it when it goes your way. What I would say is one of the best parts of coaching, the learning never stops. And 20 years from now, we'll be talking about some different things and how it adds. So I love when we have new technology ideas, whether it's a tablet on the sideline, more cameras for replay. The jobs of the referees are so challenging. So to add some guardrails in there of replay assist and things that due to technology, that's a really big deal. And it also, this is how this generation of ball players learn and function. They're excellent in that space. So can we help them learn better? Yes. And if we can, the performance on the field will be better. And we all want that. So I'm absolutely in favor of things. Can we get it better? Can we be more efficient doing it? And technology is a big piece of that.
But again, taking swings ultimately isn't good enough. We went 4-13. We have to have results. And so, we took some swings.
I am, especially if we can more efficiently market, and then the game keeps going and we keep rocking. Sometimes you're on that drive and you want to keep going and keep moving the ball. And so having ways to do that, can you do it in a big pile on a quarterback sneak? Probably not, but there's other ways that you can to spot it, and when it's close, can you identify it and work quickly? Yeah, I'm down for that.
Do what we have to do.
Nikki?
I think it's probably not responsible to spend the whole thing. But again, that's not to say
buy-in's not a term that I use that often, honestly. I just want to talk about, this is how we're going to do things moving forward. I knew it wouldn't be for everybody, Nikki, in that way, but I also knew I was looking for connection between one another, how hard they would play for one another, how they would communicate together. And so those things I saw improving. I knew if we were going to be a good team, we would play a lot better at the end than we would at the start. We were going to work hard at our skills. We were going to work hard at that. But you also needed some proof. To have belief is one thing, but you also, it is results. And so I'd say it got stronger of winning close games. So I'd say, Nikki, the second half is probably where belief turns into or maybe I should say hope turns into belief. And somewhere in the November, December, hope transferred into that. Now, hope is good. You want that. But the belief is we're going to make this play. We're going to convert the fourth down. We're going to get the stop. We're going to win on this drive. That's when I saw that belief take place.
Won 4 games. Drake obviously did some good things. He made a lot of mistakes. I think he'd be the first one to tell you that.
Number one, we visit a lot. So it's not hey, I've been waiting all year to talk to you about this. It's an ongoing process. And one of the things that I love about him and why we don't try to put expectations at the start, he's literally the definition of that. Constant improvement and going forward and keep getting better. And so those are the things as we're going into year 2, there'll be a number of things for him that this is my expectations for him and for all the guys is to how much better can we get as players, the coaches, the staff. And so for him, there'll be some things specifically with his game that we want to work on. And knowing him, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I do love that about our team. Somewhere, I have not talked to him today, but Bobby Wagner is somewhere getting better today. And I don't know where it is or what it looks like or how he's doing it, but that's the type of attitude that we want to chase. Constant improvement, digging for it hard, and if he can do it, then everybody else in the organization kind of follows suit into that space. So that's Jaden, that's all of his teammates, that's me. And we're never arrived, and that's how we want to go after it as hard as we can. We're going to work our ass off to relentlessly improve and get better in a lot of ways this year.
We got time for 3 more.
One more time. There's no doubt for me the interactions, and this is my first time to hear their story, a little bit of their why, who the important people are in their life, the journey, and it speaks a lot of time to resilience and to team and to see why they've accomplished so much. It could have been a family member, a friend, whatever that is. Usually it doesn't take too many degrees of separation to find out somebody. And so that's what today is, man. No stress on these guys. I just want to get to know them, man. Get to find out. I want to hear a little bit about what they did in college, how they played ball, what their assignments were, how they communicated together. The tape in our interviews, we do almost 50-50 and split the time between background, a little bit of their story, and then get it onto the tape. So it's a great first step in that part of the communication. But what we have learned since 5 years ago, we communicate a lot online. And a lot of coaches doing that. We do that with the ball players. And sometimes just those one-on-one times to get to talk. And, hey, man, you can relax. It's an easy setting, man. You don't have to over-try. I just want to know who you are and how you get down. So if I could get to that part first, and then you'd be surprised if you look back at your notes, somebody's on your team. Hey, man, at the combine, you told me about your little brother. You told me about the impact your mother had. That helps that connection start faster. And so that's what I love about this start of it.
Dan, I'm sure that over the last...
Let me go. I'll come back to you, Ben.
Your last couple of years in Dallas, you got
you know what? I heard that came out right before I got up here. I
think about him at the age of 51 getting this opportunity. And just, he's taking a different career path
I
than
think
a lot of
like
coaches
use this analogy, but
I've got so much regard for Brian. So I actually worked with him years ago at the New York Jets. And it was then that I probably saw, how excellent he was. As both of us probably had a little less chrome and a little more juice on some things, but I knew then that he had rare things about him. And so it was an easy connection, him going to Georgia. I had just done that at Florida. So many parallels that I've kept up with him through the years. Then to be, on the same staff with him for 2 years. He helped me a lot, first as, an analyst to help look ahead and find some things, and then also, obviously then when we switched back to coaching on offense. So he's going to do a fantastic job. He's got high-level coaching, high-level relatability, and when you put those two things together, that's a really rare combination. He's got them both.
Ben, last one.
It's nothing
Dan, I'm sure you thought back and thought about the NFL game a lot over the last few weeks.
Thanks, Ben.
No problem.
Hell of a guy.
No problem. What are some of the things you thought about? This is where we could do this again, or we need to work on this. What are some of those things, and how do you kind of see improving on that or fixing that going forward?
Yeah, and I thought going into each game, there's some things they meant to play like we're capable. This has to happen, and we thought going into that one, we'd have to really be ahead on the turnover margin. To knock a ball out, to get one back, and to their credit, they were the ones that got into the turnover margin. You guys know how difficult it can be to lose when you don't create any and you give a few away, and so those are the things that we do. But give them the credit, man. Their playoff run was absolutely fantastic.
You guys had a ton of success last year. A lot of veteran free agents, one-year deals. How different does your outlook to free agency come in this year, where you want to get some of those guys back, but you got a lot of cap space too?
Yeah, it's the same as last year. We have a little less cap space, but we really operate more off a cash budget, and so cap space and that stuff is always kind of whatever's on the internet. It's not always the case, but I think don't really compare this year to last year, but we just have a lot of free agents, and we still have a lot of holes to fill on the roster. We have I think, the second least amount of players on our roster in the league right now. So we'll be busy, but we want to spend, on Commanders and spend the right way. So that's how we're going to look at it.
How important is it to get a few of those deals done before free agency opens? Some of the guys you've identified as Commanders, keep them in-house.
Yeah, certainly like to do that, and we're talking with a lot of those guys right now. It just depends on what they want to do, and if they want to, and if we can come to an agreement before free agency. Some guys want to hit free agency and see what their market is. Some guys want to get stuff done right away. The great thing is the culture that DQ created. There's a lot of guys that want to come back, and we've had a lot of really good conversations with that. And so, proud of that, proud of what DQ's created, and having a lot of guys that want to be Commanders.
Adam, how
Tell
does
us which ones want to come back.
Yeah, there you go.
when John Allen says I'd like to seek a trade, and you guys have that discussion without giving away trade secrets, what goes through the GM's mind and when that takes place?
I think they're always tough. These kind of decisions and things you have to come up with are always tough, right? And with John, who's been a great player as a Commander, as a football teamer and a Redskin, he's been a great person for this franchise for a long time. So you have to weigh in everything, and we looked at internally and okay, what decision do we want to make that we think is best for the team, but also you want to do what's best for that player. So those are tough conversations to have, but you always want to have them civilly, and we have, and his agent's been really good with us, and look forward to coming to a resolution.
And for you, last year you were a month into the gig.
Yeah.
How much more different do you feel this time around with the success you've had and the quarterback you have?
Well, I didn't even know what a scrum was. Sean said you have a scrum. I was like, oh, what's a scrum? And so then I found out what a scrum was. So it's a lot different. Everything we've done, not everything once, but most everything once. So that's really helpful. But you said on the podium, having a quarterback is a great thing, and not just a quarterback, but a really, really good one who's an awesome person. So proud of that, and proud of Jaden, what he accomplished, and everything that he's accomplished. He's self-made. He's got two great parents that helped him a lot, and a lot of people that helped him along the way, but he was never given anything. So to have somebody like that leading your franchise is really cool.
Do you feel like you have enough draft capital where if you wanted to make a significant trade that you would still be able to build the draft?
Like what?
You tell me.
I mean, there's always gonna be trade-offs if you do something like that, and we have 7 picks, and so that's a full allotment. It's not our own 7 picks, but I think it just goes back to Sam just always doing what we think is best for the team.
Does the success of the team and having Jaden on a rookie deal alter the way that you approach this offseason as opposed to last year?
Yeah, I think every offseason's different, in terms of last offseason. There was a lot we had to accomplish, and I thought we did a really good job. And this year, I mean, we still have a lot of challenges. So having Jaden is great, obviously, but you still want to build the team the right way with the right type of people.
How does the recovery timeline for Sam Cosmi impact your evaluation of the roster right now?
I don't think it will. I mean, we have so much, we just have a lot of places we have to fill in. So we're going to look at it the same way. Sam's doing an incredible job. He's in there every day already. I mean, he wouldn't believe it. I mean, he's in there as much as he can every day. So he's going to attack this rehab and get back as soon as he can. And we're not going to rush him. He had a major surgery, but we know that he'll be back and be a really good player when he comes back. So it's just really more about building the depth there and just a lot of depth around the team.
From year 1 to year 2, what are some lessons you're pulling from last year into this year?
Everything. Everything's a lesson that we've learned, but I think we hit on it over there, but just trying to bring in Commanders and the right type of people.
Where do things stand for you as giving Terry McLaurin extension as far as a priority for you guys this offseason?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get into those conversations, and if we do, those will probably remain private. But first of all, congratulations to Terry on his wedding with Caitlin, and we love Terry. He's a great commander, and we're really looking forward to having him again next year. Yeah.
You've worked with a lot of really good pass rushers at your various stops. You scouted a lot of really good pass rushers. What are your must-have traits for that position, and have they changed at all over the years?
Have they changed? I don't think they each want to be like 6'5" with 36-inch arms and run like a 1.310 time and be able to turn the corner and also have power. But those guys don't grow on trees. So, I think what you're looking for is someone who's relentless, someone who's physical, someone who's got that get off, and really, to be really good in this league, I think you have to have both speed and power. And so that's what you look for in a pass rusher.
Have any players influenced your view of that position?
Yeah, I think every year someone influences your view, and there's different ways that guys win, and so we're around guys like this year we had probably the top two guys were DA and Fowler, and they do it a different way than guys that we had before like Bosa or D Ford. So it really opens your eyes, and it makes you, I think, the more experience you have, the better you can be at finding guys that can do what you want to do by seeing different traits in them that you've seen with the players you've been with.
With the stuff they're measuring here, go ahead, Candy. Sorry.
Hi there. So far, you all have largely been able to keep this coaching staff together.
Yeah.
So what does that say about, going back to your point of what Dan Quinn, the culture he's built, what does that have to say with keeping most of this coaching staff together?
Well, that's exactly it. I think you hit it. It's the culture that he built, that people want to be here, and coaches want to be here, and coaches that have other opportunities will turn those down to stay here, and that's all DQ and what he's built in this culture and the environment, and I think it's really, really fun to be a coach here. I'm not a coach, but I'm around them all the time, and they love it. And not only that, but we have a great group of coaches. I think I would put that first-year coaching staff against any first-year coaching staff and what he assembled. And that goes back to last year when there were so many people that wanted to coach with him, just knowing about him, not even knowing him really well, and then wanting to stay this year. It speaks a lot to who he is.
And how do you go about prioritizing which position groups that you all kind of target in draft and free agency?
I think first you look at where you don't have anybody in the depth chart, which there's a few places that we don't, but you assess really your needs with what's available both in the draft and free agency, and try to balance that as much as you can. And it's like a puzzle a little bit where, okay, this position's really strong in free agency, where this position will probably need to address during the draft. And that can change, and that's fluid, just depending on, there's all different ways to get guys too. There's trades and cap casualties and things that can happen. But you try to do, going into the offseason and into March, really just understanding the totality of the classes and understanding where you can best use your assets.
You mentioned the fans. You mentioned the fans, and they're going to watch the combine. So, what takes place for the GM and all your staff when you bring guys into a room? Are there guys that surprise you and kind of turn your head and go, "Oh, this is one of our guys"?
Yeah, there are, and really the biggest mistakes at the combine that I've made or places where I've been have made is putting too much into that 15, 20-minute interview and like saying, okay, this guy is not commander, for example, because there's so much that goes into those things, and you could get a player who's not really good in interview settings. Like, I'm not a great interview setting person, so I understand that, and some people are really good in interview settings and really, but they're not hitting the marks other places. So, but in the room, it's really cool. You have a bunch of people around the table. We have the player kind of sitting in the middle, and then our coaches are on a Zoom. So they can talk to them, and we watch film with them, and you really get to know them. And you ask questions that your scouts have spent 6 months finding answers to and confirming those, or thinking you need to really look into those more. So it's a really cool process, but you can't make any sweeping judgments in those 15 or 20 minutes. But it's a good, for myself, it's the first time that I get to really meet these guys, so it's really cool to see. And all these guys have been through so much to get here and achieve their dreams, so it's really proud. You're proud of them and all they've been through and how excited they are. So you try to take that into account too. This is so important for them that you really want to make them feel comfortable and at ease so they can be their best selves.
How do you assess emphasizing, prioritizing athleticism to the degree that you did last year?
Pardon me?
Do you plan on prioritizing athleticism in the draft as to the high degree that you did last year?
I don't know that we totally prioritize. You always prioritize athleticism, right? And so, but you always want great athletes on your team. I think it's always about the people, and the tape and really how they learn and everything. There's so much that goes into it. Athleticism, obviously, you want everything, but as you get later in the draft, there's certain things you're going to give on. Will you give on a little bit of athleticism for technique or size or anything like that? And those are things you have to balance. And having a great relationship with the coaches and understanding what they want and what they need, you can make those decisions a little bit better.